I think if you had to summarize the whole story, there's been dramatic progress, but there are serious challenges. And dramatic progress because there have been so many technologies now that are successfully treating diseases and in a very specific underlying cause way. I think that's the evolution of gene therapies, antisense oligonucleotides, siRNAs, enzymes, proteins, antibodies, small molecules, chaperones, all kinds of other approaches. And a lot of them are working and many of them are approved. And I'll talk through some of them today. The world, for some reason, is becoming more difficult in terms of the regulatory and reimbursement world. There's more demands, more increasing demands, as if there's an infinite amount of money when working on a disease that affects a rare disease. And I'll give you some examples of that, but I think it's been the number of demands from the number of regulatory agencies across the world has just dramatically increased the cost. And this really threatens the potential that we may not be able to use all the science we have to treat as many patients we could.
So why a nonprofit approach? I mean, there's much to commend the commercial model. We know how to use it. It's very straightforward. It may be overly costly and overly bureaucratic, but we know how to do it. However, ASOs are supervised by the drug division, and the drug division has historically been much more rigid than the biologics division. But it's very clear there is no path to approval for these patients. It is not possible to do a controlled clinical trial or 2 controlled clinical trials to meet commercial requirements in a single patient, or even if you have 20 or 30 that are spread around the world. Probably equally importantly to me is if one were able to actually achieve commercial approval, to make economic sense of it, as Emil just discussed, we'd have to charge these patients and families many, many millions of dollars a year. And I think surely we can do better than that. So one of the objectives of NLORM is to make it economically unjustifiable to do that. We give the drugs away.
What we see is that 3 of 10 of children afflicted with rare diseases do not make it to their 5th birthdays. Okay. Now, beyond that, you have a situation where if you look at some of the recent studies on the burden of rare diseases, you can see that the cost in the United States, in a recent publication that was supported by the EveryLife Foundation, the cost exceeds $1 trillion. And 60% of that burden is borne by families when you start thinking through the direct and indirect costs of that. So from all perspectives, we have a public health crisis. Now, despite all of that, for more than 95% of rare diseases today, the 7,000 plus rare diseases today, we do not have a single approved FDA therapy. Staggering facts, but that is why we must come together, and that is why I think all of us are at this conference, and that is why I think we must all work together as we go forward. I'm actually very thankful to be with a community of people who are eager to share their knowledge, to learn from each other, and to participate in shaping the future.